Welcome, everyone. This is Gwydion, and this is session 2 of A Tale of Ink and Flies, which is an exorcism scenario from the Exorcist Codex. I'll put a link here to the first video in case you didn't see the playlist, but a quick recap, so spoilers if you want to go back and watch the first video. But in the first video, my character, who is Samuel Erickson, he is a church licensed exorcist, and he received a phone call from Father Albert Northen, who talked to him about a current possession case of a Dr. Louis Bourgeois. And Dr. Bourgeois, we don't know how he became possessed, but his assistant found him and clearly knows he's possessed. He's currently shackled in his office, but he does have some kind of leeway to roam a little bit about the office. That was a precautionary mechanism that the doctor put in place should he ever get possessed. He is currently armed with a jagged knife, and we do think, based on discussion with Daniel, that there is a scroll on the desk that you can see, the little red book that is, we think that might have something to do with it. We don't know if that's the trigger object, but we think it has something to do with the possession. He seemed to be studying it before he became possessed, so we think that might at least give us some clue. So right now, we just poked our head in the room. We saw him. We realized that he can kind of easily get almost anywhere throughout the room, so it's going to be hard unless he is shackled, unless he is restrained. So at the moment, I am going to start some music, hoping it isn't too loud, and I'm going to start a little bit of background music, and it should soften when I talk. So I wanted to have something in the background. So after we looked at the situation in the room, what we determined is that we are going to, I think, try to gather some other people to restrain the doctor. I think the only way to really get to the desk and maybe look throughout the room, trying to figure out what else is going on here, is to restrain him. So we are going to gather his assistant, Daniel. So let's find Daniel's token here. So we'll put Daniel in here with us. And Daniel does have a few friends that he had gathered. We didn't talk about that the first night, but we're going to say he has 1d3 friends that he had gathered before we came. He was looking for a way to restrain the doctor. So we're going to roll a d6, and 1 to 2 will be one person, and so on. So let's roll a d6 and see how many friends he has. All right, a 4, so a 3-4. So that would mean he has 2 friends. So I'm going to grab some tokens. They won't be super representative of what they would look like, but at least it's something. So we're going to grab this token, and this will be a friend. And we're going to grab, say, this token, and that's going to be another friend. So there are going to be 4 of us that are going to try to restrain the doctor. So in general, rather than make this an outright combat, this will be a little bit off the reservation, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the door and see if we can quickly run in and subdue him. So we already know that he kind of had an indication that we were there. He didn't quite see us, but he did notice something. So what we're going to do, I'm going to write a note in here, and we're going to say session 2 start. And I'm going to keep the same journal, but I just wanted to have a little note there. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to surprise him. So we're going to gather some rope, gather some things that we can tie him in place and get him kind of in the center of the room, because we do know, depending on the type of exorcism, we know we're going to have to do a salt circle around him, if particularly in the event that it's a wild demon possession. So we're going to try to get him in the center of the room. So what I'm going to do is we're going to try to surprise him. So Samuel looks around at Daniel and his friends and say, look, whatever you do, don't listen to what he says. He is going to try to trick you. He will use every tool in his power. Just remember, this is not doctor. This is some type of demon. So do not listen to anything it says. Everything will be lies, but he will make it sound as if it's the truth. So we develop a quick plan, and we are going to try to quickly open the door and quickly subdue him. So let's first start by rolling. Does he notice that, or let's say this? We're going to try to determine where is he in the room when we open the door, and we're going to roll a. Let's see. We're going to roll a D4, and we'll do upper left, upper right, lower left, lower right. Or actually, we'll do clockwise. So starting upper left. So let's roll a D4 and see where he is. So 1. So he's in the upper left. So I'm going to move him. We're going to say he's like up here. Just, the chain will go with him. So he's kind of up here. And maybe he is, what is up there? 7. Maybe he's trying to look in the drawers and he thinks there's something else in there. He already has a knife, but he's kind of just here and he's a little bit distracted. So we run into the room and we try to surround him. And as we get in here, I want to roll, does he immediately notice us? We'll do subjective. No, not yet. So he doesn't immediately notice it, but as soon as we get in, I'm going to say we have predetermined that we're going to try to get around him on the opposite sides. So we're going to try to do something like this. And so he didn't notice us immediately, but as soon as we get close, we'll probably be able to get him quickly. But I'm going to say he would certainly notice it. It's far enough across the room that it's not realistic that he doesn't notice it. So I'm going to roll. We're going to determine what is he going to try to use before we subdue him. So rather than go into an outright combat, we're going to consider one of his powers. So we're going to roll. Yeah, we'll roll a D4, 1 to 2. He's going to attempt a vomit of desecration. And 3 to 4, he's going to try to do a demonic persuasion. So let's try that. So this is demonic persuasion. So he is going to look at the weakest individual that we have. And I'm going to say we'll just say it's the gentleman with Daniel. And we're going to use him as kind of the weakest. And let's look and see, what does demonic persuasion do? It's close range. So maybe he was one of the first to get in front of the doctor. So it allows the demonic being to manipulate a target's will. So that's good. Maybe it would, or not good for me, but it would allow him to maybe have the individual, call him Eric, have second thoughts about whether or not he wants to help us subdue the doctor. So the demonic being must win a power versus power, and his power, I believe, is a 17. Yep. And we're going to say, I think the average power is a 10. So unfortunately, I believe it's for every point, there's a difference. So we're going to say there's a 7-point difference. There's a +5, I believe. Actually, I'm going to check that really quickly and pause this for just a second. Okay, so we start at a 50% chance, but because there's a 7-point difference in score, that will lower it by 5 times 7 or 35. So my 50% chance becomes 15. So I'm going to roll a percentile roll. I think it should be this one. And I need a 15 or lower for Eric to resist the demonic persuasion. Oh, there is a 0-0, so let's roll. I should have rolled a D10, I guess, with it. Should have rolled them both, I think. I thought that would have been a percentile. My mistake. So he actually rolled an 8. That is pretty shocking. So he resists. So Eric, the demon looks at him and says, Eric, you know that your mother is in a home right now, and you put her there, and she is so miserable. You need to if you don't leave immediately, I'm sending a demon to dispatch her and tear her limb from limb. And Eric hesitates for a moment, but then he realizes, based on the discussion with Samuel, and Samuel reminds him to not listen to him, and Eric is able to look at him, shakes his head, clears himself, steadies himself for a moment, and says, "You lie. All demons lie." And we proceed to subdue him. So while we do this, we wrap him up in rope and we restrain him. We actually tie him to the chair and physically restrain him. But while we do that, does he get any final moment of I guess can he do anything else while we're subduing him? Let's just do a quick fate roll. No. So okay. So we're able to restrain him. So we he's tied to there. He continues to talk while we do this, and he is really angry at all of us. And as he tries to grab at us, but we're able to subdue him and keep him in a chair. So as we do that, we start looking around the room, and we are going to find the location. And let's look at the demon dice. I'm going to say, based on that interaction, we are going to do another chaos roll. So let's roll a d6. A 4. Okay, so it's going up, but it is not yet a 6, so that shouldn't challenge us. And so far, so good. So we're okay there. We're going to go back to our location. And the first thing we want to do is we want to look at that book. So we go to, the scroll. So we go to the scroll lying on the desk, and we start examining the scroll. And it's in a language we unfortunately don't understand. So we're not going to be able to outright just look at it and read it. But we do see symbols and things, and we're trying to see if we recognize this. So we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to try to make a few rolls. Let's go to Samuel. So Samuel does have demonology codex. I believe that's one of the things that we can utilize, or at least I think it's reasonable to say that we can use the demonology codex. Kind of reading some of the notes. I guess it's knowledge demonology. Yeah, that's right. So let's see if we can. We're going to have to roll very low. So let's roll a d10 and a d100. And I could have probably created these rolls, but that's all right. Is that a 12? 12. Oh my gosh. So we do know something about this. So I'm going to do one other roll while we do that. I'm pretty excited that we've done that. I'm also going to roll for demonic sense, which I have a 40% chance of. Watch, this is the one I won't get, which would make sense. I mean, it's still below 50% chance, but let's see if the demonic sense. So no, our demonic sense does not tell us anything more about it, but we do have some knowledge of this object. So I'm going to give us, how much do we know? We'll make it subjective. How much does this tell us about the object? Absolutely. So I'm going to say it tells us, if it said no, I'd give us something, but just smaller. So I'm going to tell a little bit about it. So as we're reading this scroll, we know that this was created in the 1400s by a man by the name of Jehan Montferrand, and he was a demon prophet of a cult. We don't recall the cult's name, but we do know that he produced several scrolls following a visit to Beelzebub's realm, and we do know that he lost his right arm due to prolonged exposure to demonic essence was while he was in Beelzebub's realm. And the cult remains active today, we think, but we don't know too much else about it. And we know that the scroll that we see is written, it's very, the cursive is not very good, but we know that that's because the last few scrolls he had to write were in his left hand. So we know it's in his left hand, and this is giving us more indication that this could be a trigger object for the possession. I mean, based on the fact that these scrolls, you know, we know these scrolls were sealed away after incidents of possession. So based on those facts, we're becoming pretty convinced, I would say, or I am coming pretty convinced that this is a wild demon possession, but we still really need to understand what type of animal is this? Because if we don't know the animal, things can go very, very bad. So as we're reviewing this scroll, even though we can't understand the text, we are reading the text and the symbols. And as we do that, we need to do a demonic corruption roll. So let's look at our character sheet and find demonic corruption. I might need to pause this because I don't remember exactly where that is. So give me 1 second and I'll pause. Okay, so I looked up demonic corruption roll, and we are going to need to roll a D100. So let's get that ready. We'll get this over here. And we lower it as described in lowering the roll. So reading that, if I'm equipped with a charged talisman, which I know I saw one on my character sheet. Yep, basic charged talisman. So I can spend power points to decrease the result of your D100 roll before multiplying it by your holy faith factor. And so what I'm going to do is be rolling the D100, and I'm going to multiply that by my holy faith factor, which is here. So let's just start there. I think that's how I start. So we will roll. I think we want low rolls, big bucks, no whammies. Ooh, that does not sound good. 70. So we multiply that by the holy faith factor, right, which is 1.5. So that would make it a 105. So what would that mean? Let's see. Compare the results to your spirit points. So I've got 80 spirit points. So I'm currently at 105. So I need to be below, I think I need 25 lower. So with my charged talisman, I can spend power points before multiplying it by the holy faith factor. So I need to be below 80. So I need to be below, 80 is my points. So I really need to get this to what, 60, that would be 30, 90. So I'd need it to 50, 25, 75. So I need it to be about like 50, 354. I should know this math, and I can do it off camera if I need to, but I don't know if I'm going to be able, I can't do it because I can only, let's see, for every point I spend, the roll decreases by 3 points. And my talisman is a basic charge talisman, and I believe that means I only get like 2. I can only use I don't know what the 3 parenthetical, but even if we say 3, I can't do it, so I'm gonna fail. So let's read what that means. So I failed the roll, so my demonic corruption increases based on what the scenario says, and that is going to be 1d3. So let's roll a d6. So 1, so that's going to be a 1. So that means my demonic corruption increases by 1. I don't remember where I'm going to see that. So let's see if it's on the second page. Spirit points. Where is my demonic corruption? Must be on the first page. I must be missing it. Demonic corruption. Anywhere in here? Huh. Well, for now, I don't want to waste our time. I think what I'm going to do is mental. I'm just going to put it in here. I'll probably find it right after I finish the stream. But let's just put demonic corruption here. And if I can find it later, great. Demonic corruption. And we'll just put this here just as a note. And again, it's probably on my character. I'm just probably not seeing it. So for now, I will just make it, we'll just do a widget counter. And we'll put that for now over this so we know it's not a percentage skill. We're just going to make it, we won't make it too crazy. We'll lock it and we'll say we have one demonic corruption point. So, but when you do that, we also must make a destiny roll. So I will quickly look up a destiny roll and we'll do that next. Okay, so I found the destiny roll. It's on the first page. So I have an 80% chance. Before we go there, I did find, so let's go there real quick. On the second page, demonic corruption is listed up here at the top. So I went ahead and added 1 point of corruption for now. I don't think that gives us anything else, but we'll find out. So let's roll, and we're looking for under 80%. Let's roll our demonic, let's clear that. But let's see if we can get under 80%. I don't think I'm going to modify this. I don't think. Oh my gosh. Oh, is that a 7? It's a D100. It's a 3. I think it was a 0.3. I need to find out. There's got to be a way for me to roll percentage die here, and I'm just missing it. But I think that was a 0 and a 3. 1D 10 by 10. Yeah, I don't know why it didn't show me the same. That was an 80. Oh, that is right. 3%. Okay. I don't know if that is a critical success. I feel like anything usually 205 is a critical success, but I know I succeeded. And so here is what happens in this case, since I was touched by this demonic corruption. So as I'm doing this, I'm looking at the doctor, and all of a sudden my vision goes black, and I see Jehan de Monterfond writing the scroll with his left hand. And just as I recalled from studying the scroll, his right arm has been amputated, his face is deformed, and his skin appears to melt from his skull. Behind him stands a man of authority, forcing him to continue writing until he collapses and dies atop a pile of scrolls. The last scroll bear the numbers 217, 218, 219, and 220. He never completed number 221. And as I look at the scroll, I do see at the very top a series of numbers, and the number is 218. So this is clearly one of the last scrolls he ever wrote. So I'm gonna roll on. There are some interpretations that could happen as I'm looking at this based on that vision. So I'm gonna roll and see what my character at least thinks from this. 3. So the demon prophet wished to escape. So even though he was a prophet and he was doing these things, he really wished that he would have been able to escape. So. All right, so we've got him subdued. I think maybe we'll do a little bit as he is now subdued in the middle of the room. I am going to, have the character, I'm going to look around a little bit. So we're going to start at the bottom. So we'll look in is there anything else in the scroll? So we've got the scroll, and we have read through it, so nothing more there. So we're going to go down to the bottom right, which is an artifact display cabinet. So this is a glass-fronted cabinet that holds old items, fetishes, idols, collection of knives, and it appears to be where the jagged dagger was taken. And I guess I would say that For now, I'm gonna say we did not see the jagged dagger. I don't remember if I said that or not, but I'm going to say that we didn't see it on him and we got him restrained. But for the moment, we haven't thought to look further for that jagged dagger. Maybe we will, but for now, it's probably on him somewhere. In our haste and in our concern for our buddy Eric and the persuasion attempt, we did not look for the knife. That's still something that could come back to us. So, all right. So we looked at that. We have him bound. The chair, we're going to say, is now more in the middle. So we're going to put the doctor kind of right in the middle of the room here in his chair. And the other folks are kind of watching him, around him, while I kind of search the room. I just say, hey, keep an eye on him. So we're going to go in the bottom right now. And this shelf contains a number of occult texts. It has grimoires, occult writings, codices from various sources. So we will, let's see, do I have knowledge occult? I don't. I have knowledge demonology, and given I'm a solo player, I'm going to let me use that. It's only 15% chance, but we're going to roll to see if that gives us any additional clue. So let's roll for that. $69. So no, that we don't. We rack our brain and we can't think of anything else. As I go over here, I go over to item 6. I'm going to roll some type of perception because it looks like there's a loose floorboard here. So let's see what his perception research, maybe spot. Okay, there's a spot. He has a 50% chance to spot. So we're going to see if he recognizes that or senses something in the floor there. 87, so he doesn't. He's trying to do this quickly because he knows that these restraints, this demon could at any time act. So I'm going to say this has taken me probably a good 15, 20 minutes. And as we're doing this, rather than even roll, because I think it's clear that actually I am going to roll. So I'm gonna ask the question, can the demon loosen his straps a bit and get to the knife that is clearly still in his possession? So we'll say subjective. No, but okay, so he can't loosen the straps to get to the knife that's still on him. However, he does still have other powers, and I'm going to say that he is going to try to use one of his additional powers, and let's just find, he is going to try to use his vomit of desecration. So we didn't think to gag him. We should have. It's probably a very big oversight on our part, but I'm still a little bit new to this. We were really trying to get that scroll and study it right away. We knew he was tied up pretty good, so we didn't have anything to improvise to gag him, and we just didn't think about it. So why we do that? He is going to target, and he's going to target one of the three. So one of the three people, since I'm kind of away from this, we'll do basically a percentile roll. We're going to start with the one, I didn't give her a name. We'll say Susan, Daniel, and Eric. So we'll start Susan and then we'll go clockwise. We're just going to do a percentile. We'll do a percentile roll and make the determination there. Starting with 0 to say 33 will be her. And then we'll go to Daniel and we'll go finally to Eric. So 53. So that's going to be Daniel. So he targets Daniel. Daniel is right in his way, and the target must make a dodge roll to avoid the vomit. So I'm gonna briefly check what a general dodge roll may be, and I will be right back. Okay, so I use a little quick research, and it looks like a standard roll for a dodge roll for somebody who's agile would be about 18%. Somebody who is not as agile would be, more like 16%. And somebody who's really agile, maybe 22 to 24. I'm going to say Daniel. He's a lab assistant. He is a small, scrawny kind of guy based on the look of him. I'm going to say he's less than agile. So I'm going to give him a 16% chance. So let's roll and see if he can dodge this vomit of desecration. Ooh, he almost did, but it's a 46. So he did not. And I'm going to say based on where the characters are, instead of being able to do a cone, which sometimes he can do a cone, but or vomit of desecration can be a cone, but they're not in a tight enough formation to him to do that. So he's going to go after one, and we're going to say he's a few meters away. So I believe that means... Yeah, I'm going to say it costs him. I'll look this up later, but I think a few power points or spirit points. I'll have to look at that. So let's see. So he doesn't have anything to parry. The vomit comes out. He automatically hits, and the dodge fails. So David is covered in this, black, thick, and it smells like burnt flesh, but he's covered in this sticky, almost tar-like substance, and it gets all over him. And as he does that, he is going to, we'll say, I don't know what his spirit points would be because he's an NPC. So I'm just going to say that is going to really kind of put him out of commission. He's going to have to take a break, and we may all need to take a break with maybe one person watching him, but we're going to say he needs to take a break. And this does drain the host a bit, so it drains bodily fluids, reducing the overall health. So we're going to say for his stats, he is at health points. So we'll just say maybe, I don't know, one, we'll say a D2. It's going to be one or two points of health. So that's a 4. We'll say it does take a pretty good toll on him. So for now, we're going to say he's down to 7 health points. I don't know if that's good or bad because that could, I assume, affect the doctor himself too. So took a lot out of him, and I'm gonna say we're gonna do a perception roll, because I'm gonna say that when the doctor did that and vomited at Daniel, I'm going to say that he and Susan both have a chance to notice, how quickly his head snapped around. So I'm going to give them a chance to, this might help them with identifying the type of demon it is, given the demon is a raven. So the head movements could be a clue. So we're going to do a perception roll. So I'm going to look at what their chance of perception will be. I can't, because I'm kind of looking in the other direction. So I'm going to say that I can't do that myself. All right. Let me take a quick look. All right. So the base percentage to notice something is on a spot is 25%. So I'm going to give them each a 25%. Let's start with Daniel. And I'm going to say, since he was the object and he was looking at him, I'm going to give him a +5. Like, he was studying him a bit. So we'll give him a 30% chance, and we'll give her a 25% chance. Let's start with him. And I'm just making these up on the fly, right? It's not necessarily a specific game mechanic. And that is that 23 or 63? 63. Okay. So he does not notice. Maybe he was watching me, and he wasn't paying enough attention. So let's see if she notices on a 25% chance. I can't tell. I think it's an 80 though. Yep. Okay. So no, we don't. So we still haven't found anything that will tie us to understanding better what type of animal this is. So we've explored about half of the room, given him an ability to try to use his powers, and I think we're going to call it from there. So I'm really enjoying this. I know I'm probably not following the rules as written for anyone really looking at the rule book, but really fun. It is tense. I mean, I think it's pretty cool. I love the powers. I love the different things I can kind of interject here and make it my own. And I think it really lends itself to solo play. So I'm really enjoying it. Drop me a comment, a like if you're enjoying this. And I will do another session. I'm going to keep this going. It might be next weekend, so it might take me a bit. But until next time, happy gaming, everyone.